All right, Shalom. I'm going to start off by giving all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Wachakwadash. I want to get double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace, blessing, and salutations to the whole elect of Israel. And this is the brother Zakaria from the Jim Master Moyes branch, coming again with a lesson on walk circumspectly. Walking circumspectly. And I got some scriptures here. They're not in order. But it ties in to the point, so Lord Wood is edifying. I'm gonna jump right into it. But I started with Ephesians 5:15 and 16, and I went to the chat and I asked the chat, explain these verses. So it says, this Ephesians chapter 5, Ephesians chapter 5 in verse 15 and 16. It says, see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. And number one, it says walk circumspectly. It says walk in the Bible often means how you live your life, right? It says circumspectly means carefully, watchfully, and with awareness. And this is how we got to walk. According to the guidelines of Yahweh Shema Shai, we got to walk carefully. We walking on eggshells, watchfully, watching our actions, watching our surroundings, being circumspect, and with awareness, which is being circumspect. But this is how we got to conduct and move according to the ways of Yahweh Shema Shai, moving in the fear of the Lord. And with what's around us, we behind enemy lines. It says, so the verse is saying, be careful how you live. Pay attention to your actions, decisions, and conduct. And this is something that we got to be mindful of each and every day. We got to pay attention to our actions, our decisions, and how we conduct ourselves in situations. It says a believer shouldn't move blindly or recklessly through life. Instead, you should think spiritually and move with wisdom, knowing the consequences of actions. And we know the consequences. The Lord could jack you up. Speaking to myself, so we got to make sure that we're thinking spiritually and moving with wisdom. Having wisdom meet us in every thought. Thinking before we act. It's a supporting verse, the book of Proverbs, chapter 4 and verse 26. Let me grab that, Proverbs 4 and 26. This Proverbs chapter 4 and verse 26. It says, ponder the path of thy feet and let all thy ways be established. So we got to ponder the path for our feet. The Lord is going to ponder. Matter of fact, let me grab this in the blue letter real fast. Because the Lord is going to pave that way. What that was, Proverbs 4:26, right? Yep, let me look this word, ponder, up real fast. Ponder, which is palas. So it's a way to make level balance. So to balance our path, which is through the scriptures. Let me see what this says in the NLT. It's Proverbs chapter 4, verse 26 in the NLT. It says, mark out a straight path for your feet. Stay on the safe path. That's plain. And that's walking circumspectly. Making sure we walk in that safe path. Not going outside of that. Walking that straight gate, like the scripture talk about. So staying on track, staying on that path. And having the Lord lead us in the way of truth. I forgot it's a scripture that says, let me see. Let me type this in, light path right quick. Let's see what pops up. Oh, yep, this is it right here. This Psalm chapter 119 and verse 105. It says, none. It says, thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. So it's walking circumspectly within the guidelines of the Lord, which is the light of our feet. So this is how we able to see within this darkness, within this dark world. It's through the precepts. It's through Yahweh Shema Shai. So by us walking, in this darkness, we got to be circumspect so that we don't fall, so that we don't go in the way that's not right. It says through thy precepts, 104, reading up. So through thy precepts I get understanding, therefore I hate every false way. So anything outside of the Lord is a false way. It leads to destruction. So we got to stay upon the right path and asking the Lord to guide us in a way that's right unto him. Walking circumspectly. It's a meaning, examine the direction you're going before you move. You got to examine our ways. Making sure we walking circumspectly. It says not as fools, but as wise, right? Verse this number 2 that he gave. It says in the Bible, a fool is someone who ignores the Most High, rejects wisdom, lives carelessly. And we can't ignore the signs that the Lord gives us. We can't reject his wisdom or live carelessly. This is Psalm chapter 14 and verse 1 to say, the fool has said in his heart, there is no God, there is no power. You a fool if you believe that there is no creator. To say the verse is telling believers to live with spiritual understanding, not like people who move without considering the Most High's will. Wisdom means thinking before acting, applying the Most High's words to decisions, avoiding traps of sin. And this is what the Lord is teaching us and allowing us to see these things by following his commands so that we can avoid these traps, so that we can avoid going off. So thinking before acting, applying the Most High's word to decisions, having these precepts within us and applying them in situations that way we don't fall, that way we don't go off. It says redeeming the time. Redeeming means buying something back or making the most of something valuable. It say here, it means use your time wisely and purposefully. It said time is limited. So the idea is don't waste life on foolish things. Use time to grow spiritually. Do the work the Lord requires. And we got to do that wisely. And we got to do that walking circumspectly, redeeming the time. Because the days are evil. Because the days are being shortened for the elect's sake. It says supporting verse Psalm 90 and 12. It says teach us to number our days that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. Meaning be aware that life is short, so live wisely. Let me grab that and make sure that's what that's saying. Let me see. Psalms 90 and 12. It says, so teach us to number our days that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. Yep. Apply our mind unto wisdom. Because once again, these days is being shortened. Our salvation is nearer than what we believe. So we got to make sure that we moving right in the sight of the Lord so we don't get caught in his wrath and his judgment that he's about to bring. It says, beware that life is short, so live wisely. It says, because the days are evil. This explains why we must be careful. The world is full of temptation, deception, wickedness, distractions from the Most High. Because of the environment, believers must be extra watchful about how they live. We got to be extra watchful, extra careful. And this is a precept I had, that I had gathered before I looked this up. But it's 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8, it says, be vigilant because your adversary, the devil, seeking whom he may devour. And it says, simple meaning of the passage, Paul is saying, live carefully. It says, live carefully and wisely. Don't move through life carelessly like the world. We can't be like the world. The Lord called us out of the world. Therefore, the world hated us. It says, make the most of your time serving the Most High. Be alert because the world around you is full of evil influences. So we got to be on alert. We got to be aware, watchful. So making sure we living carefully and wisely in all our actions. Don't move through life carelessly like the world. So we can't be, once again, we can't be like this world. Make the most of your time serving the Most High. We got to make the most of our time, because time is short. Be alert, because the world around you is full of evil influences. So I just wanted to hit that, how we should be conducting and moving. But this Colossians chapter 4 and verse 5, it says, walk in wisdom toward them that are without, redeeming the time. They're redeeming again, redeeming the time. So we got to keep our head on high, keep walking in this wisdom amongst these evil people, these wicked people, no matter what. Because once again, we're behind enemy lines. And we don't want to get caught up in the judgment that the Lord is about to bring like these people is. This 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 6 says, humble yourselves therefore under the mighty hand of the Most High, that he may exalt you in due time. So before honor comes humility. So it starts with us being humble. It starts with us taking the low. It starts with us being at the bottom. But the Lord is going to exalt us, right? It says, casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. Which Chat didn't mention all, this part of this verse, but I already had it, But be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. So we got to stay circumspect. We got to stay upon our watch. We got to continue to walk and have on the whole armor of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Because this devil is seeking to devour us. He's seeking to knock us off our path. So make sure we're walking carefully, that we're watching for this devil. Recognizing Satan, recognizing the devil within ourselves and around us. So that's being upon our watch. It's Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 3. It says, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. So we gotta. I'm gonna go back up to what I mentioned about this, about recognizing Satan in our actions. Am I doing this a lot too much, or why did I let that spark me to get angry, or because somebody said something to me and I reacted in a way that I shouldn't? That's recognizing Satan. So making sure that we're seeing these things and correcting it, because the devil, as a royal lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. Even his physical counterpart, the so-called white man. But also recognizing the devil, Satan, within our flesh, because that's what Satan is after. I mean, he's after us, because we walking in the spirit, but he's got more the flesh, man. The flesh want to do what it wants, so we got to check that. That's what I meant. Salaki for the confusion, but that's what I meant by that. Just walking circumspectly in all things. But this Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 3, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. And a lot of our people is simple. They not using prudence to see what's happening. They're not taking heed to the message that the prophets is giving. So we see the evil and we hiding ourselves. We hiding ourselves under Yahweh Shem Yahushai. We abiding under the shadow of the Almighty. And that's through this knowledge. That's through this wisdom. This is how we being able to walk wisely and prudent. Which is the wisdom to see what is profitable and of a high moral standard. Would this be profitable for me if I move like this or like that? Thinking before you act, like the chat mentioned. But our people, they're going to pass on. They're going to be punished. This Matthew chapter 10 and verse 16. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. This is what the Lord is telling us. So we behind enemy lines. We sheep in the midst of wolves, so we got to be very extra careful in all our ways and walk wise as serpents and harmless as doves. We got to put that on. We got to live that. This First Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 5, it says, ye are all the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Say, therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. Because our people, they're still in that slump. They're asleep. But the Wadi Yahweh Shah for waking us up and calling us out of that darkness and bringing us into his marvelous light. And the Lord is lighting our path. His words is a lamp unto our feet. He's directing our way in truth, which is through these precepts, the guidelines, which is the light. This is the light. Yahweh Shah is the light. So we got to walk in the light, in this dark world, in this darkness. Walking circumspectly. And say, for they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. So we can't be like the wicked of our people, because they're drunken in the philosophies of this world, in this darkness. They're drunk off the darkness of this world, the wickedness of this world, and we are not to be. The Lord called us from that, because we was once children of that, children of disobedience, walking in the darkness. But the Lord called us up out of that. So now we got to be extra careful, because that old man try to creep up on you to bring you back into that darkness. But we got Yahweh Shah. We got the precepts to stay in line. This Sirach chapter 9 and verse 13, it say, keep thee far from the man that had power to kill. So shalt thou not doubt the fear of death. And if thou come unto him, make no fault, lest he take away thy life presently. Remember that thou goest in the midst of snares, which is traps, the traps of sin, and that thou walkest upon the battlements of the city. So we behind enemy lines. So we got to be very careful. We in the midst of wolves. So you got to make sure we walking uprightly in the way that's pleasing unto the Lord, so that we don't get caught up. And I had an example, of Joseph walking circumspectly. This Genesis chapter 39 and verse 9, it say, there is none greater in this house than I. This is Joseph speaking to, his master's wife. It say, neither had he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against the Most High? That's key. Because she's trying to get Joseph to commit adultery. She's trying to get him to go off, which he's avoiding. He's being circumspect. He's using wisdom. Like, no, if I do this, the Lord can mess me up. I'm going to be sinning against the Most High. No, I can't. And it came to pass as she spake to Joseph day by day. So she was pressing him. It says that he hearkened not unto her to lie by her or to be with her. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, to do what he was commanded to do by his master. And there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left this garment in her hand and fled and got him out. So he got out that jam. He skedaddled. But just showing that example of him walking circumspectly, because he knew the consequence. Like, no, I'm not finna sin against the Lord. Or if I do this act, her master could kill me or whatever. He got cast into prison. But when you read down, it's a heavy chapter. When you read down into this chapter, the Lord showed favor on Joseph. The Lord showed great favor on him. The Lord was with him. But imagine if he went in unto her, and the Lord would probably want to show favor. But the Lord showed favor because he followed the guidelines of the Lord. Like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to sin against the Lord. Even though it looked like a bad situation, the Lord was with him in that situation when he was in that prison. Whatever Joseph wanted to do, it prospered through Yahweh Shah. Because he held his integrity. He applied wisdom. And we ought to do the same. In this 1 Samuel chapter 18 and verse 14, it says, and David behaved himself wisely in all his ways, and the Lord Yahweh was with him. That's plain. He behaved himself wisely in all his ways. Even when Saul tried to kill him, he walked circumspectly. He walked wisely. So we got to do the same. Put these things on. We got these examples to, the things written aforetime, written for our learning. So we got to put that on to walk circumspectly in this evil world. We got examples, and there's more examples, but there's just, just a few that I had, but Lord, with this lesson is edifying. I want to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Wachakwadash. I want to get double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace, blessing, and salutations to the whole flock of Israel. Shalom, Kwam Yashala.